Welcome to YouTooSpain, broadcasting live on YouTube. On today's show, I'll be asking our very good friend Jack Wiggs from Smart Currency Exchange all about moving your money to Spain when you're moving here or buying a house or even moving your monthly pension and other stuff as well. He'll have the answers to all of your questions about that and more in a few moments. Join in on the live chat over there or down there, whichever device you're on, or if you're watching the video back afterwards, you can still chat in the comments below. There's going to be loads of lovely information and lively chat from beginning to end, so stick around for the whole thing. You're all very welcome to YouTooSpain. Still alive, everybody. Let's dance. Groovy, baby. Right then, just before we get chatting, don't forget to sign up for free to the monthly newsletter from our website, YouTooSpain.com, because there's loads of information on there to read at your leisure, and there's links to official websites that you need for your applications and all kinds of things for visas and residency and all of that. It's completely free, which is a win-win-win with the cherry on top. Now, without further ado, and I have to say this may be more like a little radio chat show today because we've had a bit of a problem with the video feed from our guest, but we can hear him perfectly well. So let's see how he's looking from this moment on. Let's meet my wonderful guest for today. It's Jack Wiggs from Smart Currency Exchange. Good morning, Jack. How are you doing?
Hi, that's Skatz. Yeah, good, thank you. I think I'm still frozen, aren't I? So apologies about that. It was working all of 10 minutes ago, and it's just decided at the vital moment to start playing up. So yeah, apologies about that. But I'm doing very well. Thank you very much for having me back again. We were just discussing before. It's been almost a year since I've been on here, so it's been a long time coming.
It has, yeah. Last April, I can't quite believe it. It just felt that's why I've not suggested it before now because I thought it was only the other day, wasn't it? But there you go. It's great to have you back. Let's say hello to people who are just joining on the live chat. We've got Paul Cook, good morning, and Paula Bramble, good morning. Looking forward to this one, Paula says, and Jed Tierney's there. As you can see, there's going to be people putting FOF and various other things which actually relate to my video diaries, which I might mention throughout, but we're going to try and stick to the topic. That's actually says feck off Freddy or Frankie, depending on what you're calling my tumour. So if you want to know about that, everybody, go on the video diaries thing. We're not going to cloud the show with it today. But anyway, still alive is the thing that we're all saying, and that's very good. So hello, Janet Stanton and Anton Cares. Good morning. Dancing Bee Gees, it says there. That's what the emoji obviously is there. Sometimes the emojis don't appear there. Mr. Lower Largo and Steph. Good morning to all of you and to everybody else who's joining. Everybody, when you get the answers to your questions in a moment, remember to smash that like button, as all of the annoying people on YouTube say. And you can do it now if you want, while I'm rambling on. So, and yeah, James McInloughlin, lovely. I've not seen your name on the live chat before. Welcome. So, Jack, let's get straight into the questions. And I'd like to talk about planning ahead to start with, before any more questions come in. Why is it really important to start an account with yourself early on in the moving process? When I started mine, probably a year before moving, I think. Why is that important?
Vitally important. You're going to be trusting ourselves or whichever outfitters you choose to move your life savings across to Spain. So it's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big move you've got to make. So having that relationship to start with is crucially important. Knowing who you're dealing with, what they're about, what their expertise is, what their experience is really important. It just builds that trust and builds that relationship up, which hopefully then will begin with the property and thereon after for years to come during your time over in Spain. It also allows you to understand the options that you have a lot more. One of the biggest pitfalls that we see is that clients believe that the right time to speak to a currency specialist or the bank is the day before you go to complete to move the money across. And in doing so, you open yourself up to potential risks that things might not go as planned, or actually that currency exchange markets might have changed, which is sometimes an unknown factor to people. And I'll come on to that shortly, but it's vitally important that you do have some pre-planning in place, as much information as you can possibly get, so that you can make informed decisions when it comes round to crunch time.
Because the exchange rate can move up and down quite a lot over the course of a year, couldn't they?
Yeah, that's actually the biggest problem that clients often ask us to resolve and to fix. The issue that you make an offer today on a property in Spain, say £200,000 worth of euros, and in 3 months' time you go to complete, and suddenly rates have dropped by 5 to 10%, and you're paying out an extra 10 to 20 grand on the same property that you'd already spent your time, effort, and energy negotiating. So exchange rates can play a really big part into how much you're spending, which is why having an expert on hand to talk you through options and to talk you through the different variables that are in play is crucial, so that you don't have to spend another penny more than what you'd originally offered.
Absolutely, yes. And what are the differences then between all of the different places where you can exchange your money? There's, a broker like yourself.
Yeah.
There are banks, and there are banks who've got international exchange specialist departments as well, and then there's online banks as well where you just use a card to exchange your currency. What's the difference?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's still around 70% of people still use the bank for high value transactions, which for me, I can't comprehend. It seems like a no-brainer, but let me try and explain why. So by using your high street bank, you're normally missing out on a decent exchange rate. So your banks will offer you an exchange rate which is normally a tourist exchange rate. Whereas with ourselves, we will apply a commercial exchange rate to your transaction. Now, on let's say £200,000, we'd normally guide between 2 and 4% as an average saving. So yes, 4,000 to potentially up to sort of £8,000 worth of currency extra that you'd be buying of ourselves, and that's one factor, which is quite an easy factor to sort of comprehend. That the next steps are, by using a bank, you're going to be forced to accept the exchange rate on the day of your completion. They aren't able to hold euros for you in most cases, and therefore you have to go to them just before you need the euros to buy the currency. And in that 3-month window, exchange rates would have fluctuated, and you are left exposed to potentially whatever the rate is on the day. And if that is 10% more, then unfortunately you've got to go with it because you've paid your deposit and signed all your contracts. Also, by using your bank, you're losing out on speaking to a specialist. So someone like myself, I've been doing this for 7 years now. Smart have been doing this for 20 years now. So we are deemed experts in the market. And I strongly believe that the level of service that you'll get from ourselves far superior to what banks are. Banks are generalists, they're not specialists, especially when it comes around to currency exchange. And also with Smart, you're given the same account manager. So you don't have to go in and explain yourself and explain what you're doing to each person every time you go in to make a new payment. You'll have all of our contact details. We're simply a phone call away, and you will know exactly what's going on, and hopefully make things as seamless as possible. So they're the main reasons why you'd use us over a bank.
And what about the different other brokers and the online banks where you've just got a card to use?
Yeah, so online banks is quite similar to what I just mentioned in terms of you won't have an account manager, so it's very much a do-it-yourself model. Now, if you were moving £1,000 across the euros, you'd feel probably quite comfortable doing that through an online card, and it wouldn't be as necessary to use a currency specialist. But if you're trying to move £200,000 across, then that's where the nerves probably kick in, and you want a bit more peace of mind. You want someone who knows what they're talking about, looking after each step of it, including buying your euros and actually sending your euros on. And there's lots of various security checks that we do when sending euros out to ensure that we are sending euros to a reputable place, that the IBAN number you've given us is correct, and that we can't foresee any issues coming. Whereas if you do that on your own, you are literally on your own. In terms of other brokers, there are other brokers out there, and we compete with those in a way. Where we specialise, where we differentiate our service here at Smart is that we specialise in property. So we specialise in high value transactions. Overseas property is our bread and butter. We've been doing this for 20 years now. Not many other currency brokers can say they've been in the industry for that length of time. And we're partnered with the likes of Zoopla, the estate agency in the UK, and Rightmove as well. So they have done their due diligence, they've done their service checks, and they also strongly believe that we are the best at what we do for delivering with property. please check out our Trustpilot reviews. We've got over 2,000 of them, or almost 2,000 of them. And we have over 50,000 clients who hopefully will all share the same message that we are the best at what we do relating to high value transactions. So that's really where we differentiate.
Brilliant. Ant and Kez are asking, this is something I was going to ask later, but let's just ask it now. Does Jack or anyone have first-hand experience of having UK state pension paid directly into smart currency account, thus avoiding the need to go via a UK bank account?
Good question. One I get asked quite regularly. So with pensions in the UK, most pension providers have to pay pension to a first-party account. So what I mean by a first-party account is an account that's in your name. So most providers will not give you an option but to move it into a UK bank, and then you can set up a standing order with ourselves for the bank to immediately send the funds to ourselves and for us to immediately send the funds onto your nominated account in Spain. There are some pension providers which will be happy for you to send your pension directly to us, and in that case they would do that automatically every month, and we can then arrange whether to do that immediately onto your account each month, whether to lock and rate in for 12 months or to do it on an ad hoc basis depending on what your preferences are. But our job is to explore that with you and work out which best suits your particular needs.
Mm-hmm. Should we talk about the actually locking the rate in? Because as well, you can do that on a pension, you can do that with a house, you can do that with any money that you're transferring across, can't you?
Exactly. That's our biggest focus at Smart, is helping people understand, first of all, and educate themselves on potential pitfalls and potential currency risk that's out there, so that when you come to actually make a decision to buy a property, you've got that information already in your locker ready to use. So how that works. So if you think about currency exchange markets over the course of a year, especially since Brexit, on average, rates move 10% per year. So breaking that down to sort of a 3 to 6 month window, which is your normal buying journey, in Spain from research through to offer accepted, you're talking sort of 5 to 10% as an average. Now, most people will not want to take that risk on. They won't want to find out that 3 to 6 months later, they're paying another 5 to 10% more for their property. So they will come to ourselves to lock an exchange rate in. How an exchange rate locked in works. So if I use the £200,000 example, we will lock in £200,000 against the euro for a given window of time that is tailored to your particular timeframes. So we'll lock that exchange rate in. That rate then will not change. It cannot change. The amount of euros that we've bought you cannot change. It's all fixed. The pound amount is fixed, so that you've then got peace of mind that that is the exact amount of pounds and pennies that I'm paying for this property in 3 months, and that's the exact amount of euros that I'm going to have access to. We do that on the phone with you, so we talk you through the different steps on the phone as to how to do that. Lock the exchange rate in on the phone. You would then pay a deposit to ourselves to hold that rate fixed on day one, and then you'd pay the remaining amount of pounds to ourselves anytime between now and your completion date.
Excellent. That sounds very clear. So basically, you're buying the currency at that one point, then it's fixed. So at any point when the customer needs the money, then it's at that rate. So you don't have to worry about it going down.
Exactly, it's our most popular option, and actually one of my clients said to me, I think it was about a year ago now, said to me the reason why they want to lock an exchange rate in is because if they were doing this in the UK and making an offer of say £200,000 in the UK, they'd want to know it's going to cost them £200,000. They wouldn't want to flip a coin in 3 months and either pay 5% more or pay 5% less. They'd want to know exactly what it's going to be, and therefore they're taking that and treating it exactly the same with an overseas purchase. So vitally important. It's our most popular method, and it is really peace of mind that you're after in that instance.
Yeah, I mean, either way you do it, it feels like, I remember when I was on the phone to you at the time when I transferred money across. I mean, for me, it was actually moving money from the UK to Ireland at the time, but it's exactly the same because that's euros too. But it feels like a gambler's move. You've got to pick a moment in time to do it, and you can't say to a client, can you? You can't say, right, no, you should wait for 5 minutes or wait for a couple of days, because you're not allowed to do that. You've just got to say,
I wish I knew the answer to it. Nobody knows what's going to happen to exchange rates. Yourself or I, Skatz, we don't know where rates are going to be in 5 minutes time or in a month's time. And it can get quite psychological. You look at the exchange rate chart, you see it going up, and you get a bit greedy. How high can it go? And then it's coming down, and you get quite fearful. How low is it going to go? When do I say enough is enough? So normally the most successful outcomes are where you make an offer, all the legal work is done, and you lock the exchange rate in immediately. So you don't have to gamble and worry about where rates are going to go, because it can get very psychological and it can cause a lot of stress and waste a lot of time watching markets. So that's normally the best outcome that we see.
Yeah, no, mine. It was about the same exchange rate as it is now, actually, which is a pretty good one. And
Very good at the moment.
I got it. I went in with a good rate, but it popped up to 1.18 about 2 days after I did it. And I was going, no, I could have got that, but And we talked about that. I said, do you think? And you said, I can't say whether it's going to go to 1.18. That is completely up to you. So it's yeah. But
that's it. We've got to educate you, give you all the options, outline everything, and put all the information to you. And then, it's down to you to then make a more educated decision than you would have made without our help. So that's really what it all is. And whenever you book the currency, and if you booked it in now, we're almost at an 18-month high right now. You did very well with your Skatz. I can guarantee you it might go slightly higher, it might go slightly less, but it's going to change. So you're going to have to take a risk at some point. The only way you can guarantee how much you're spending is by locking a rate in. If you are more risky with financial matters and you want to wait to see where it goes, we have got strategies, products, services to put in place to help you do that. It's just regarding property purchases and asset purchases, we don't see it very often. If you wanted to go and gamble on currency exchange, there's much better ways of doing it rather than your Spanish property.
Yes, yeah, this is good to know. We have a question. Oh, Janet's actually just saying, I've been using smart currency for 10 years since I bought my holiday home. Hopefully soon to be my permanent home. Excellent service. I love that I can speak to my personal advisor. Yes,
fantastic. Indeed. Thanks, Janet, for that feedback. It's our 20-year anniversary this year as well. So, on our marketing and things like that, Janet, there's going to be plenty of information around that, and potential sort of incentives and rewards and things like that for our long-standing clients. So, please keep an eye open for that.
Brilliant. Should have a cake for both of you, shouldn't we? And Adam Farmelo says, good morning, Skatz. All the best of your health and keep up the good work. Adam from Wolverhampton. Thank you very much, Adam. Mad David saying, do you deal in cash, gold, bullion or diamonds? It's interesting, actually. Does your company do it with the gold markets, or is it just all
it's all numbers? Currency exchange, so it's all bank transfers, and unfortunately it doesn't get any more interesting like gold, bullion or diamonds. It's all bank transfers. We don't deal with any other sort of asset or anything like that.
Good stuff. Interesting one, which I was going to ask later. This is all about commission rates. What sort of commission rates would Smart charge on a fixed forward contract on the exchange rate?
Yeah, good question. So how we work out our exchange rates, very similar to the bank. You've got the headline rate that you'd see if you Googled it or you see on the news, and then you've got a commercial rate, the rate that we offer, fractionally below that rate, and you've got a tourist rate, the bank would offer, again, below that rate. So the idea behind coming to us is to get closer to that headline rate, as close as possible that we can do for you. How the forward contracts work is that they're linked to interest rates. So I don't want to get too complicated and over technical with it, but basically the further into the future that you go with your contract, i.e. if you choose a 6-month contract rather than a 3-month contract, the slightly lower the exchange rate becomes because of interest differentials that our bank charges us. Mm-hmm. So what we could do, we could have a blanket approach, and everyone that speaks to us, you're given a 12-month contract and that's it. But there's no benefit to the customer for doing that, because you're going to be paying more on the exchange rate for doing so. So what our job is that when you're speaking with ourselves and we're understanding your particular timeframes, your completion dates, when you're expecting different payments to make, we will then line up your forward contract based on that date, and that will then throw out the exchange rate that's applied to that. Of course, we can look at different timeframes and outline different exchange rates to you, so that you can then make a decision on which one best suits your particular need and your circumstances. But that is how it's worked out. So there isn't a fixed exchange rate applied to forward contracts. It changes based on the time that you choose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good answer. So there isn't one, but talk to you.
Best to speak to somebody if you want to get an exact exchange rate, because all sorts of things will change. Exchange rates change every second. Length of time will change, and even the exchange rates on those future dated contracts will change as interest rates change as well. So very hard question to answer without more information and an exact time to measure that against.
Yeah, I remember when we spoke last time, we were talking about some people you see on Facebook, for example, on social media, people say, "Oh no, this company is better than that company because I found this company and got this commission rate, and then I found this company 10 minutes later and got this rate, and then another one, and I compared them all against each other, and this is the one that gave me the best at the time." But the thing is, they change. The rates are going up and down, and the deal you might be asking for is different from different companies. So it's kind of impossible to do that kind of comparison unless you've got 20 people on the phone to 20 different companies all at the same time asking for the same deal at the same second in time. Then
sometimes people think that we're like car insurance. You go on, you look at all the different prices, you just choose the cheapest one. You can't really do that with currency exchange. You can phone different providers throughout the day and see what's going to be best. But as we saw on Friday, it moved nearly 1% on Friday. So if you're moving £200,000 across and you're trying to phone up on the day to get the right exchange rate, one, how do you know that's even the best part of the day? Because that's going to be your biggest saving. If you can work with a provider to let you know that rates have increased by 1%, great, you've just made yourself a £2,000 saving immediately without having to do any of that. But two, if you're going down that route and you're trying to see what the rate is on the day that you're looking to do it, then you haven't put any forward planning in place. You might be speaking to me the worst day of a week, the worst day of a month, the worst day of the last 6 months, and you think you've got a great deal because I might be £100 cheaper than the next person that you're phoning. But actually, if you're down 5% from where you were when you first made the offer, then that's really where the bigger savings are made. So what we always advise is, if you want to get different quotes from people and go down that route, absolutely fine. Yeah, that's how you want to play it. Where we get the best reviews and where we get the best feedback is where we've actually built a relationship. We've put our cards on the table. These are the options that you've got. And again, feel free to service check us against other people, because I strongly believe that we are the best in that area. And then make a decision on which one's going to look after you and have that trust that they're going to look after you correctly.
So I think Steffi is asking quite rightly, is the commission rolled into the exchange rate?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is correct, Steffi. Yep. So where we make our money is there's a difference between where we buy our currency and where we sell our currency. Now that gap there covers our profit. It covers the costs of making the bank transfers, the costs of holding segregated ring-fenced accounts, and the cost of having an account manager on the phone. So all of that is rolled into that margin there, where we make our money. Over the course of a year, we trade around £3 billion worth of currency. So it's easy to imagine that there is a very, very small margin between where we buy and sell, because we're trading so much currency per year, and that's where we generate our profit.
Very good. And by the way, if you're going to sign up for Smart, I do have a link down below in the in the video description, and I'll put it at the top of the comments section as well. I'll pin it up there. And
please do use that link, because that will mean it will come through to my particular team as well, who specialise in property, and particular Spanish property as well. It's one of our biggest countries. That and France are our biggest countries for helping. So if you do use that link, then you're guaranteed to come through to someone on my team to get the very best help.
Absolutely. And I don't take extra commission from the client either. That's all. No. Smart's dealing, so it's the same rate that you'd get whether you go through my link or not. So just go through that link. Thank you. Robbo is asking a good question, because it's exactly what I was going to ask now anyway. My biggest concern is my money protected with Smart as opposed to my bank? My bank is currently offering 1.14 to the pound if I transferred a 5-figure sum to Spain.
Good question, Robbo. So I'll go through both points there, because there's two separate points there. One is about the exchange rate and one is about the protection. In terms of how we are protected, we are authorised by the FCA, so the Finance Conduct Authority authorises us for making payments. What that means is that we have ring-fenced segregated accounts held with Barclays Bank in the UK, in London, to fully protect that money. So I know we've been around for 20 years now, but if anything happened to ourselves in that interim that you were holding money with ourselves, that money is fully protected by Barclays. So we cannot use that to pay administrators. We cannot use that to pay salaries. We cannot use that to pay debt. We can't use that money for anything other than for your currency conversion, because it is held ring-fenced and segregated. As I said earlier, we're partnered with Zoopla and Rightmove, so they have done a lot of due diligence into our financials, into our security, into our service, to ensure that their brand and their reputation is on the line as well. So we take security extremely seriously. We do a lot of two-factor authentication work, which means that when you add bank details in, there are multiple layers of security for you to do so. And even when you register, you have to go through multi-layers of security as well to ensure that all of your information and data is protected. So security is very much an important part of what we do. We have got different PDFs and documents that we can send to you on that as well, Robert, if needed. In terms of the exchange rate that your bank's offered there, that rate that your bank's actually offered is actually higher than what most banks were offering yesterday. So your bank's actually doing a good job on that particular exchange rate. Yesterday, most of our exchange rates at Smart were going in between 116 and 117. So you can see there the difference between the two. It's quite significant. If you're moving £100,000, for example, then you're already saving, at worst case scenario, €2,000 on the exchange with ourselves. Obviously, there with your bank, as I mentioned earlier, you're missing out not only on the amount of money that you're moving, but you're also missing out on having a strategy in place to protect you from exchange rate volatility. You're missing out from having an account manager who's done this thousands of times, talk you through every single step and what pitfalls that you might face and what to miss out on. So not only are you missing out on the exchange rate, you're missing out on a bigger service as well.
Mm-hmm. Great stuff. You were talking about your money being guaranteed. Is that the whole amount is guaranteed? Is there any kind of limit to that?
Yes. So in the UK, we're used to the financial service compensation scheme, which I believe is 85,000 off the top of my head. That's not put against the client account. All the money that's in the client account in the ring fence segregated account is fully protected.
Brilliant. That is good to know. I've seen that question asked quite a lot on Facebook, actually, on social media, and people saying, no, you'll only get 85,000 back if that company goes bankrupt, and it's no.
No, and please do go and check that out. And I know it's a boring task to do, but if you go to the FCA website and you type in Smart Currency Exchange, you can read all about our protection on there. So if ever you're moving money with Smart or anybody else, then please do go and make sure that they're on there, because you don't want to get stung later on by finding out that they're not on that on that authorization. Absolutely.
Okay, well, we've got a few more questions to ask afterwards, so I think we'll go to the halfway point. We've almost been on for half an hour. And so it's time, as usual, for a quick message from me and my alter egos, and Doogie the dog, of course, about the wonderful things available to you as YouTooSpain fans. So Jack and I will be back in a moment. Take it away, the other Skatz. This show is very helpful to you, isn't it? And you're enjoying it too.
Then click on the thumbs up, you lazy colonel.
I don't have any thumbs. You can use your nose, Doogie. And don't forget to subscribe as well. And rub on the bell for notifications while you're there. It's all free.
Information is valuable.
I need a coffee to keep my pecker up. So why not show your appreciation by buying us a coffee or 3?
There's a link in the video description below.
No, use the QR code. I own the company, you know.
No, you don't, Colonel. It's there for the whole show, sweetie. Just point your camera phone at it.
But wait, if you think all the help and information and entertainment you get here is worth more than just a few coffees, you can support YouTooSpain with a regular monthly amount.
They're not getting my money.
You don't have any, Colonel. You live in a hostel.
There's a link to Patreon where you can find out what extra groovy movies you get by helping out.
Oh, I'm all a quiver. One more thing.
Get on with it. There's a guest waiting. Goodness knows why.
The beautiful watchers are waiting too.
And the ugly ones.
That's enough, Colonel. There are lots of vital things that YouTooSpain gets you access to. And discounts too.
What things, Master? I like things.
Well, do you need private healthcare insurance?
Of course I do. This gout won't go away on its own, you know.
Do you need a visa or residency, sweetie?
Do you need to exchange currency?
What about finding a property like mine? It's huge and expensive.
Just like me, darling.
Blah!
Or do you need advice on tax and pensions? I don't know what they are. Or do you want a Spanish mortgage? Or a discount on getting documents translated and apostilled?
Or a lawyer to sort you out. I didn't do it, wasn't me.
Do you need a lovely little app for learning Spanish? How about finding the best mobile phone provider?
Buy a YouTooSpain t-shirt. It's a win-win-win.
You can even get discounts on full mouth dental treatment and get a new smile just like Skatz.
Smile!
All of the links are here, down below, sweetie. If you can't find them, ask me in the comments.
Are you finished yet? I need to go and kick some servants.
He's not a very nice human. No, he's not. But let's get back to the show, shall we? Back to Skatz in the studio.
That was my line.
Oh, stop being beastly and be a good little boy. I am a good boy. You are, Doogie. Back to you, Skatz.
Thank you to Skatz and all of the characters for joining us, especially Doogie Dog. I like things. And if you've got any questions for them, then feel free to ask them in the comments. So, we're back. Let's see if there's been any questions in the meantime on the live chat. Where are we now? Oh, yes. Robbo's asking an interesting question, which I was going to ask anyway. You must be watching my notes, all of you out there. What's the process when using Smart to send money to Spain? How long does the process take?
Yeah, good question. So the first step in the process, Robbo, would be to register. So click on the link in the comments below, and once you've done that, you'll then be taken through to our registration page, in which it will take some basic information from you. Once you've done that, you'll then be given an account manager, which will be somebody on my team, and they'll reach out to you at an agreed time or early next week if you did it today, for example. Once you've done that, if it is immediately that you need us to move some money to Spain for you, we would then book a contract for you on the phone to buy euros on your behalf. And from there on in, that's when the actual transfer process begins. So the first part of that process is for you to send the pounds to ourselves, to our Barclays account I mentioned earlier, and to provide us with the details as to where you want the euros to go via our secure portal. Once you've done that, our team will be checking the details you've submitted, checking the funds have arrived safely, and then we'll be making the transfer for you. So that all takes a couple of hours to do. And once we've made that transfer, we will then email you confirmation of the transfer notes, which will then be sent to you via email, and the euros will then arrive in Spain the next day. So we'd always advise from the time you put the contract in to the time the funds have arrived is normally 1 working day.
Brilliant. And Beverly's saying we will be using Smart, of course, when we move over next year. Already signed up with you. Brilliant.
Excellent. Thanks, Beverly.
And Steffi saying, when's the best time to set up the relationship with Smart? That's we answered that earlier, didn't we? As soon as you can. And or can you use the account as a day-to-day transfer? This is interesting. For example, you set up an account now and use it to save euros.
Yes, you can hold euros with us. So, for example, you could choose to, rates of exchange at the moment are almost at an 18-month high. You could choose to lock in some euros now just to have them sat with ourselves while exchange rates are good. I'm more than happy to do that. The only reason why you might not choose to do that is because of the nature of our accounts, of them being segregated, ring-fenced, separate from our organisation. We don't get interest on those euros. We can't pass interest on to our clients. So it might make sense for you to then set up a euro account that is going to pay you some sort of interest, if you can find one, to then start earning on that. But we can hold euros here for as long as it takes for you to then find a property or for need the funds. In terms of the day-to-day transfers, I know what you mean by that in terms of can you hold euros here, but it's important to note as well that we can also help out with smaller payments. So if you've got living costs, pensions, you want to refurbish your pool, things like that, you can use us for small amounts and for monthly amounts as well. As we saw earlier, one of the viewers has been with us for 10 years and using us regularly. So you are in a position to do that. When is the best time to set up a relationship with Smart? As Skatz just said there, as early as possible. As soon as you know that this is a plan of yours and you're starting to make viewings and starting to arrange viewing trips, get in touch with Smart so they can start helping you with budgeting.
Excellent. Robbo says, I'm already registered. Jack is my handler. That's a nice. You're not a dog, Robbo. He knows me by my first name. Yes, you're not known as Robbo, are you? Do you know who Robbo is?
I know who Rollo is. Yeah. I won't reveal his identity to the whole of YouTube.
No, I think he's already mentioned it on here, but Robbo, you can do that if you want. There you go. Let's see now. What was my next question? Well, I think we've already talked about this, but how are the rates at the moment, and how do you and the watchers decide when the best time to exchange is?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a point that we get asked on nearly every single phone call that we have, especially introductory phone calls. Yeah, where's the exchange rate going to end up? Now, our job is predominantly to educate you on all the options, on what's happening, on what is available to you, so that the decision is then left in your hand. You can then make a more educated decision on how to deal with your currency exchange. Now, yeah, right now, yesterday we had some news about a recession in the UK. I won't talk too much doom and gloom, but that has dropped the pound off by about 1% from where we were yesterday morning, just under 1%. Up until that point, it was within about 0.001% of getting to an 18-month high. So from that point of view, exchange rates at the moment are very, very good. If you're buying a property in Spain right now, compared to the lowest point in the last 18 months, you're saving about 10%. Which is fantastic. In terms of where exchange rates are going to go this year, I'm never going to try and guess where they're going to go, because I'm going to get it horrendously wrong every time I try. But you do need to take into account this year we have got general election in the UK, and we've got all that campaign coming up. And that will have some sort of effect on exchange rates. No matter which way it goes, no matter what the result is, it will have an impact on exchange rates. These sorts of years are normally bigger volatility years for the markets than the average year. So this is why forward planning and pre-planning is so important, so that you're not hurt by a result in the election that the markets doesn't like.
Yeah, very true. I was just talking to you before the show started, wasn't I, about when Boris took over as leader of the Conservative Party. Suddenly there was the markets just rocketed upwards, and towards the election, as the news was saying, oh, it's going to be much better, and now at least people had more confidence for some reason in Boris.
Yeah.
And,
I know. I remember, and even more recently, Skatz, you had Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng with their mini budget back in September 22, and within it was about. I'm just having a quick look at the chart now as we speak. It was within about 5 days, the market dropped 6%. I'd hate to think anybody who was due to complete a week after that and hadn't done anything with their currency, now having to find an extra 5% from something that we didn't know was going to happen. We didn't know they were going to deliver that. We didn't know what the impact was going to be of that. And these are risks that are out there that we try and get clients to be aware of and try to avoid as much as possible.
Yes, and there's no way of knowing before this election what's going to happen. You've got the unknown of the Reform Party as well in the UK. So,
yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, that's the one thing with UK politics is there's always a surprise around the corner, isn't there? I mean, even going back to Brexit, most people didn't think Brexit was gonna go through. They thought it would be staying in the UK, and the markets thought that as well. And then when actually Brexit did hit, it made a massive difference. Again, just going back to my chart here, from end of November 15 through to November 16, rates dropped 25%.
Yeah.
Now I know nothing like that's going to happen, in theory, fingers crossed, in the next sort of 3 to 6 months. But it just goes to show you that surprise results do happen. Things do come out of nowhere, and they do impact currency markets quite abruptly.
It's true. That's the biggest fall I've ever seen in that. 1.46 or something it went up to, and then 2015, wham, went down again. And of course, COVID, the lockdown and everything, that just.
I was just about to mention COVID to you as well, because in that window from the end of February through to beginning of April, so that was when we actually went into lockdown in that March time. Again, rates dropped in that sort of 4 or 5 week period by about 13%. And again, we haven't got that immediately coming up, but if you said to me 3 months before that was going to happen, I probably wouldn't have believed you. So it just goes to show there's lots of things that are out there to be aware of. And again, I keep mentioning it, but that's why forward planning and having your options in front of you is so important.
There's only one guarantee I keep saying to people, that it's not going to stay exactly the same as it is now. Yeah. It's going to go up and it's going to go down from today. Yeah. And,
absolutely.
But there's no way of knowing when. So Oh, John's saying, I think we answered this one earlier, but probably before John joined us. Can your state pension be paid directly to Smart Currency and not via our own UK bank?
Yeah, so just to go through that one, so we can receive it from a pension provider if they are willing to pay it directly to Smart Currency. You do have an account in your own name, and we can provide you proof of that. Most pension providers and will often ask you to go straight to your UK bank. State pensions will ask you to go to a UK bank, and then you can arrange with your bank to send it on to ourselves. The options that you have with pensions, just to run through those very quickly, we can go into more detail if and when we speak on the phone. But what you'll be able to do, John, is you'll either be able to lock the exchange rate in for anywhere up to 12 months at a time, so you know exactly how many euros you're getting from your pension for the next 12 months. You can let it float. We can do it automatically for you on the first of every month, as an example, and it will be what it will be on that day. Like Skatz just said, 1 month you get slightly more, 1 month you get slightly less, and that will then fluctuate throughout the course of the year. And you have got the ability to go onto our app and onto our platform and manage that on an ad hoc basis. So, for example, you could build a pot up in your UK bank for 3 months because you don't need the money over in Spain immediately, and then you can choose as and when it's going to be that you move it across, or we can inform you when exchange rates have increased for you to then take advantage of them.
Excellent. And I think that answers your second sentence there, John. Would we then be
Yes.
able to forward plan ongoing exchange rates, which is interesting. I mean, once you've done a fixed to forward exchange rate, you can't do anything with it, but you can do what you said, and make a plan like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. Oh, interesting question from Robbo. This is one thing I thought doesn't happen generally, Robbo. Is it me, or does the euro go up in summer then drop off in winter? Well, it's proved to be not true this year, although it did go up a little towards the summer, but it's not actually dropped off for this winter yet.
Yeah, this is something I get asked quite a lot as well. I even get asked, is it better to do it in a morning or in an afternoon? Is it better to do it on a Friday or on a Monday? It is completely coincidental. There is no science or logic behind a day or a week or a month or a season to buy currency. If it was, I probably wouldn't work mornings. I'd work Friday afternoon and buy everybody's currency for them then. Yeah. But it's not the case at all. It's all completely coincidental. It is all market driven. If the Prime Minister comes out with some news on a Friday afternoon, the rates are going to move on a Friday afternoon. If he comes out on a Monday morning, they're going to move then. It is all coincidental. Some people think for when you go and do your travel money at the beginning of summer, rates are going to change then because everyone's buying their travel money at the beginning of the summer. Again, it has no impact at all with the currency market. So the largest markets in the world, and not exaggerating, trillions of pounds worth of currency are exchanged in the currency markets across the world every single day. So one country buying all their holiday money at the beginning of the summer isn't going to impact the rates one bit. It's all much bigger scale than that.
Yeah, it has happened a few times. I've noticed if you go back 10, 20 years, then it does look like there's a little wave in the summer, but it's not. It's not always like that. If you look into it,
it'll be
more
from
detail.
Other reasons other than it'll be from particular reasons, and it might just be that particular bit of news has come out consistently at that period of time. Of course, we know in advance when things like interest rate decisions are going to happen, and therefore exchange rates will be volatile at that time. But them going up or going down again is trying to guess what the outcome of those decisions and the minutes from those meetings are going to be.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, there's all those meetings going on. I know I get your the financial report from Smart. There's that every 3 months, the big report.
Yeah, once a quarter.
Yeah, and that's open to everybody, by the way. That's if you go on the.
Yeah, you can. You don't have to be a client of Smartest to download that. You can go and download it without doing so. With that report, it's a forecast. So what we do with that report is that we collate between 8 and 12 major banks, their forecast of where they think different currency pairings are going to go. So, for example, we might take the pound euro from Barclays, from HSBC, from Santander, and we'll put it onto a report and show you. We don't ever put our own thoughts on there because we don't know, and we don't want to pretend that we know. The main part of that forecast is to give you that information, but to also show you that all these major banks who have got all the information, all the data, are all on different pages to each other. They've all predicted different exchange rates for the next 3 months and where they're going to go. So if they can't all agree with it and get on the same page, how is it expected that you and I can do that and can understand where it's going to go? It's more a case of pointing out that no one knows where rates are going to go. So yeah, here's the information. Go and make a decision that suits you in your particular circumstances.
Good stuff. Oh, Mike Ripper's on. We were talking about you, Mike. We ears burning. Before we came, we weren't talking on air. Just before we came on the air, and saying morning all, late this week. Sorry, and just for you and anybody else who's joined after the beginning of the show. Sorry that there's no movable picture of Jack today. The images remained static throughout the whole show.
We'll have to do this again, and we'll sort the technology out, Skatz. It was working at 10 minutes to, wasn't it? And then it just cut out, and it's been like this ever since. And apologies about that. At least there is a picture of me, and it's not a blank screen.
Yeah, and it's not an embarrassing one. It could have been you going like that or something like that, which would have been.
I know.
There we go. Oh, and Mike has a question. Would it be true, though, that there is thinner trading at certain times of the year, like during the summer holiday period, as there is on the stock market?
Yeah, there could be. There can be different times where I would say that there's different times where there's more trading than other times. I wouldn't say it gets sort of thinner and thinner. I'd say that there's periods of time where trading will increase for various reasons. And again, that can, depending on the reasons why major institutional banks are trading with each other, that can have an impact on exchange rates. For example, if interest rates change, that there might be different ways of looking at it from that point of view. What we normally say, Mike, is to try and avoid all this speculation, all this sort of looking at different places to work out where exchange rates are going to go, and make a decision whether you're going to be risk adverse and fix a rate in, for example, or whether you're happy to run that gamble, and what it will be, and will then work with you on potentially pinpointing an exchange rate in the future. But yeah, we could sit on here for hours talking about all these different factors that could affect exchange rates, but really we want to try and take all that away. We don't expect you to become experts in all these matters while speaking with ourselves, and neither would that be much benefit to you as well, because you'll probably still likely predict it wrong.
Yeah, it's true. I wonder how this morning's exchange rates, the dollar exchange rate's been affected by. I wonder if Trump's organisation is just pulling out hundreds of millions of dollars so he can pay off his debt to the court there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because the markets close over weekends, Skatz. So when we come in Monday morning, that's sometimes where we see a bit of a bounce of currency exchange, better or worse. So it'll be interesting to see where it comes out on Monday to see. The other point I was going to make on there is that out of the speculative traders out there in the world, 95% of them lose money. So yeah, again, how can you or I guess where it's going to go if these people are putting their own money into it each day? It's so hard to predict, and I really do urge caution if trying to do that.
Yeah, it's not a job I'd like to have.
No, me neither. Very high stress.
Yeah, good stuff. There's no more questions on the live chat there. I had a question that I think you've already given the answer to, but for the people who are late on, is it easy to get through to you on the phone as a broker?
Yes, it is. This is one of the things that we pride ourselves on. Yes, like I said earlier, strongly believe that we are the best high value transaction specialists in the UK. How it would normally work is that if you speak to one of our onboarding team, part of their job when they open up your account for you is to set up a call with your account manager for a set time and date. At that time and date, your account manager will then phone you, and they'll have an introductory call with you, normally lasting anywhere between sort of 15 minutes and half an hour, talk you through what your plans are, understand that in as much depth as possible, and start putting some options in front of you as to how you could potentially manage your currency. Normally then they'll email you their information. You'll have their phone number, you'll have their email address, and they will then re-diarise you for a future appointment if necessary, if that's what you're after. And therefore, when they're going to phone, you'll have their information. If you want to phone them, you can. And as you've already mentioned, Skatz, we do a lot of marketing. So things like our forecasts, we do daily currency notes, we do rate alerts to let you know when rates have changed. We do a monthly currency newsletter from your trader as well. So you get all sorts of good information in the background off the phone as well.
There we go. Janet Stanton says, if anyone could predict the exchange rate, they'd be millionaires. Absolutely.
Exactly that.
Billionaires, in
exactly
fact.
that.
Yeah. Oh, I wish if I could do it. I did before I did my exchange, as I say, before I moved from Ireland, from the UK to Ireland, and then I sat looking at the exchange rates every day, going, "Oh, look at that! Oh, yeah, I knew it was going to do that." But no, I don't think. I think if you averaged out the number of times I was right and the number of times I was wrong, I think kind of.
It's greed and fear, isn't it, Skatz? We spoke about that before we went on. When it's going up, you're thinking, oh, how high could this go? How much more could I get out of this? And then suddenly it starts dropping, and you're either fearful and you think, oh, when do I cut my losses? Or you're in the belief it's going to bounce back at some point, and you sit there watching it going down and down and down, waiting for it to come back up. And you might get lucky and it might do, and then the greed kicks in again and how high it's going to go. So it's very psychological, and that's where you waste a lot of time, stress, effort, and energy following it, rather than having an actual plan in place as to what you're going to do.
Yeah, it's true. I did notice that you mentioned the bounce back after the weekend. There is, it doesn't happen every time, so you can't guarantee it, but there tends to be a little spike. If it's a spike going into the weekend or a spike downwards, then it does tend to bounce back, or the opposite way. If there's a big, it's almost like the market's on an elastic band. And as I say, I'm not guaranteeing this to anybody, but there's always seems to be a bounce back in the opposite direction as the market rights itself, because it doesn't like to be pulled too tight in any direction. It doesn't like to fall. So even when it fell from 1.46 to 1.1 something, there was this kind of bounce back, and then it's righted itself, moved a lot, and it went all over the place for a while. So
oh, interesting. I hadn't noticed that myself. So if that is something that you're seeing at your peril, feel free to ride it out over the weekend. But we don't know. It's so hard to predict.
Yeah, and it could happen within seconds of the market coming back in the.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not.
Well, that's it. On a Monday morning when the market opens, it's normally 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, because it's when the Asian markets open. So by the time you've actually, we're open at 8:30. By the time you got through to ourselves, you've got another 4 or 5 hours there of seeing where the market goes.
Oh, this is funny. Beverly says she only noticed you weren't moving when I mentioned it. Fantastic. Yeah. He always, actually, Jack always looks like that. He never moved in his life.
Yeah.
He's always in that office. There we go. So Avi Duke's only just joined us on the live stream. Let's see if this question has been asked before. What are the options when selling my UK home prior to moving to Spain? I don't want to pay capital gains tax in Spain, as we need this money to buy a house in Spain. This is a very good question, actually. We've answered it before on the tax program. Give us your opinion on this one.
That's where you need to go. You need to go to a tax specialist. I'm not going to pretend that I know all about tax. There is something called a double tax treaty, which means that for certain assets and certain things like that, you can't get taxed in 2 countries for the same asset sale or asset purchase. I'm not going to pretend that I know what's going on with this particular question, but I know about capital gains with Spain. It's best to go and speak to a tax specialist to find more answers out about that.
Yes, there's a basic answer that I can give, but again, I'm not a tax specialist, so go to a tax specialist. Ask one of the ones that's been on this show. There's 1 or 2 in the video description specifically that you can talk to. The basic premise is that if you sell your UK property in the same year that you become a tax resident, a fiscal resident in Spain, then you will pay capital gains tax in Spain on that property. So knowing whether you're a fiscal resident depends on a few different things. And one of those is whether you've spent 183 days in that tax year, which is January the 1st to December 31st. That's the financial year. If you've spent 183 days or more, that's the main rule, but it can depend on if you start a business in Spain, it's immediately that year. For example, I became a fiscal resident the minute I registered being self-employed in Spain. So I hadn't been here for 183 days. Or if you start working, it's the same thing. So that depends on a few things. So immediately I'm saying it depends on your circumstances, and there are lots of different circumstances. But a lot of people find that it's best to sell your property in the first half of the year, move in the second half of the year, or sell it 1 year and then move the next year. That helps. And like Jack said, there's the double tax treaty on that. So if you pay capital gains in the UK and then pay it in Spain, you're kind of only paying the difference, I think.
I don't know exactly how it works, but do speak to a specialist about it, because you don't want to get stung with that.
That's true. And also, if you're buying a house in Spain, you can also offset the capital gains that you've paid in Spain on the property that you sell in the UK, if you do it within a couple of years. So that's something. Check that with a tax specialist. Check the period of time. I think it's either 2 or 3 years. But yeah, so not an expert. Check that with your tax person. There we go. And Mike says Beverly is transfixed by your film star looks, Skatz. That's what it is. Yeah, it's the teeth, isn't it? CGT, ask Chris at Upsticks. It's a game of two halves. And says, yeah, Chris would actually say, I'm not a tax expert either. So he'd put you on to Antonio, who's my Hestor. He knows all about tax. Beverly says, Duke, just make sure you're not a Spanish tax resident in the year that you sell, which is what I just said, i.e. have spent less than 183 days in Spain that year, January to December. And Paula Bramble says, CGT will only apply to the profit you make in your home. That is true as well. It's the gain you've made on the the profit you've made. I.e. what you sold it for minus what you bought it minus what you spent on it. Yeah, there are allowances for what you spent on it. Tax expert is what you need. And Abby Duke says, definitely going to speak to a tax specialist. You've got the message firmly there. Yeah. Absolutely. We can't say that enough. So, any more live chat questions from anyone? Then ask them now, because I've run out of questions to ask Jack that I organised in front. Before I tell you who's on next week's show, get those questions there so we can answer them before the end of the show. While we're waiting for any more questions to come in, because there is a bit of a time delay, let me just remind you that after the show, if you have any more questions, or if you're watching this back afterwards, then put them in the YouTube comments below. Don't put them on some Facebook group or some expat group, because it's only going to the questions and answers are only going to come through to me, because I'll be the only one who sees them. And it's really helpful if the questions and answers are below this video on YouTube, so that everybody can benefit from those. It'll help lots more people. And it's a win-win-win with the cherry on top. Where's the thing? Let me put the thing up on the screen. There. I keep having to click on so many different things to get that on the screen. There we go. And don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe and click on the bell if you haven't done that already, so you'll be the first to know who's coming up each week on the live shows, the midweek videos, and of course the video diaries, which are all about my health at the moment. Thanks for all the support you've given on that. And don't forget to click on this donate button on the top of the screen. That's for buymeacoffee.com. And that's if anything that you've heard today has been very helpful and financially helpful to you, if it's worth it for you, then hit the like button and donate. That is brilliant. Oh, Chris is on there on the live chat. Great show, guys, he says. Thanks, matey. Well, I should put that up on the screen. There he is. And oh yes, there are some comments. Let's have a look at those. Welsh Toro just popped in to say hi. Good topic, certainly is. And Paula says, is there any reason not to just move all of my money to Spain once my UK house sale completes? Interesting question.
Good question. It's personal preference, Paula. A lot of people do that. If you're living in Spain, you want your money to be in Spain, and therefore you might just move it all over to Spain. Interesting that you've linked there to your UK house sale. If you're buying a property in Spain and you're selling a property in the UK, that's where a forward contract might come in quite useful, because if you've made an offer on a property in Spain and you want to fix the exchange rate in, but all of your money is tied up with a UK house sale, you're waiting for that to go through, you can still lock a rate in without having all that money available to you. And then you can send us the funds once the sale's actually gone through to take advantage of a fixed exchange rate. So that is one of the options there. But to be honest with you, Paula, you're probably in the majority. Most people will just move all their money to the country that they're living in, if that's Spain, and then move all the money to Spain once they've sold and once they've made the move over. There's not normally much reason to leave it back in the UK.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good way of actually holding on to the money until you've opened your Spanish bank account as well, which I would have found useful.
Yeah, absolutely. Normally your solicitor will help you open up a Spanish bank account, but it can be done quite late on in the process. So again, if you wanted to, you can hold those euros with us until comes the time that that's open, or that your solicitor requests the money for a property completion, that sort of thing.
That is good. And Janet says, I'm discussing a fixed rate at the moment for when my private pension kicks in March. Yeah.
Excellent. Hopefully that's all going well then, Janet. If you need anything from me to support you with that, then please let me know, because I'm sure you're in capable hands.
There we go. And Steffi, I think, may have missed a bit at the start when I was talking about other currency providers, but let's just cover that again. What are the key comparative ways, if we're looking at other currency providers, what are the key comparatives we need to look at? Of course, smart should be best, but still need to check out others.
Yeah, you need to make sure you're doing your due diligence on us as well, Steffi. So it's a great point. So yeah, first and foremost, you need to check that it's all safe and secure and it's protected. So things like going to the FCA website to check that, understanding segregated accounts, understanding length in the industry. I probably wouldn't want to be sending £100,000 to somebody that set up a month ago. You want to have a little bit of experience and expertise there. Our biggest differentials between other currency providers is that I do strongly believe we have got a better service in terms of the account management that we have, the experts that you speak to. We are property specialists. 95% of our transactions are related to property or people that have moved overseas. So it's having that built up experience of knowing the pitfalls and knowing what you'll need to do. It's saving you time. You don't have to research currency exchange. You don't have to stay up to date with all the boring political news. We can do that for you, and we can alert you when things have changed. And it is risk management as well. It is the idea that if you're buying a property in Spain, knowing exactly how much it's costing on day one and knowing that's not going to change by day 60, and having different options, products and strategies to do that. Not many currency providers, if any, will go into as much detail and offer you as many different products and strategies that we do. So they are the main differences between us.
Great, well explained. And let's see, Mike is saying, don't forget savings interest rates in Spain are much lower than in the UK. Interesting point.
Yeah, exactly. That's one reason why you might keep money in the UK if you were in Spain, is to earn more on that money.
Yeah, our favourite financial advisor, Lucia Melgarejo, she was talking about that on one of the shows fairly recently. And also people that Mike's talking about Spanish compliant bonds being very expensive. Yeah, Lucia talked about that. So if you want to hear her, she's on one of the earlier videos that you can find on the channel. And let's see. Oh, Paula says, just tried to sign up for a smart account but hit a technical glitch. Oh dear. Give it another try. Is there a problem with the sign up at the moment, Jack?
There shouldn't be. Let me just go to our website and check.
Yeah. So Paula,
you can put my email address on the description, Skatz, and it can come straight through to. You can email me, and we can go. We can go through that way if there is any issues with the website at the moment. There shouldn't be. It was all working absolutely fine earlier on this morning, so I don't know if there is any particular issue right now.
Brilliant. I'll put your email address up there anyway, just for if anybody else hits a glitch.
Yeah, and feel free to email me, and I can do it. I'm just on the website now, and it doesn't look like there's any issues right now. So if you're having any problems, just email me, Paula, and I can help out from there to help get you registered. But it looks like it's working okay, so you might just need to try it again and see if it works this time round.
It's maybe the glitch that's stopped your picture moving on the screen. Maybe it's just
the
a little gremlin.
For me.
Yeah, there we go. And Janet's giving a recommendation of somebody to speak to at Chase Buchanan. Yeah, I've got a contact at Chase Buchanan too, who came on the show. And yes, that is all good. Any other things you'd like to say, Jack, before we roll
I've covered most things that we would normally go through. So I don't believe so. Again, just a reiteration of forward planning, pre-planning, and getting your ducks in a row nice and early is only going to benefit you in the long term. So that would be the main bit of guidance that I would give.
Excellent. Oh, Paula says, I signed up but didn't receive verification text. We'll email you. Or does that take a little while to come through?
It should be within 5 minutes, but email it over to me. I will type your name into our system now, Paula, and I'll just check it's all come through on our end. But email me and I'll check it on there. Okay.
Brilliant. Yes, I'll put that email up, Paula, after we go off the air, so I can't do it directly now while we're on the air, but it won't take a minute. Okay, so that is all of the questions for now, unless anybody throws one into the live chat while I'm talking. That's why I'm talking very slowly, just in case. Don't want to miss out any of your questions. But yes, you can put them in the comments below, as I say. And so let's all give a big wave and a massive thank you to Jack, and a virtual hug and a kiss for being amazing as usual, and for staying very still for the whole program. That's amazing.
Yeah. And, thank you very much for having me, Skatz. It's been great again, and next time I come on here, then we'll have to guarantee that there's going to be no issues with technical difficulties or anything like that.
We do.
Thank you very much.
Normally we check it out, and we did. We checked it out. We had you on a good 25 minutes before the show started, and it was working. But there you go. That's what happens when it's live.
Yeah. One thing, Paula, your account is all set up and in place. You've been given an account manager. They will reach out to you next week, and they'll do the verification with you on mobile when they speak with you. Okay.
Brilliant. Very good. Thanks so much. So, bye for now then, Jack. You take care.
Thanks very much, Skatz. See you soon.
Bye-bye. Absolutely brilliant. Yes, what a great show. Thanks, Paula. And yes, your account is sorted out. And if anyone else wants to donate before the end of the show, then do that now. I don't know how you can do it. I've been asking myself lots on this show. If you're watching on a phone, how do you hold your phone above your own phone to do that? I'm not sure you can. Or can you just tap on it? I don't know. But anyway, if you can't do that, there is a link below in the video description. So, who is on next week? Well, of course, it's Chris from Upsticks, because he's on every couple of weeks, and that's because we love him so much. We'll be deciding between Chris and I on a topic early next week, whatever's current at the time. Plus, of course, he can answer all of your questions about visas and residency and cars as well. Thanks, whoever's just scanned the QR code. Brilliant. And so have your questions ready, or just prepare yourself for a lovely live chat next week. In the meantime, you can ask questions in advance on the YouTooSpain Facebook page, or there's a YouTube community Facebook group. Those two are slightly separate from each other. One is private and one's public. So anyway, or you can ask underneath any of the videos, and I will almost immediately get a notification for those, as long as there's not 1,000 of you asking at the same time, in which case you'll have to wait a few minutes. So thanks once again to all of you for joining us on the live chat, or for watching the video back afterwards and leaving comments, and for hitting the like button, buyingmeacoffee.com, and I'll see you either on Wednesday evening's video, or the video diary on Fridays, or live on Saturday mornings at the regular time of 9 o'clock if you're in the UK or Ireland or the Canary Islands, or 10 o'clock if you're in Spain or Central Europe, or 4 o'clock in the morning if you're in New York. New York. So good, I named it 3 times. That is all for this week. Somebody pass around the currency exchange cookies. And peace and love to you all, peas and fluff. And here is one final message from all of the voices in my head at YouTooSpain. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, lads. Bye. Goodbye. Toodaloo. Peace and love. Peas and fluff. Oi, oi. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. One more cosmic dance? All right, then. Look, Mum, I'm dancing. Oh, I'm all a quiver. Let's dance.